there's always somewhere to be and somewhere to go, and it's just this hustle of the go 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 life, where when I'm in the forest, I just am free, and that's where I'm the most creative and get the most inspiration from.
Welcome to Peak Pyrography, where we discuss artistry and process with creators in the woodburning and pyrography community. I'm your host, Justine Fedde. I was introduced to woodburning in 2020, and I haven't put my burner down since. Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest, Basia Chmielowiec. Basia is involved in everything, just about everything, and you can find her and her art at Fine Line Pyro. She pours her energy into so much of the behind the scenes for Woodburn Corner, and as if that wasn't enough, she's a social media star and can really get you into the nitty-gritty of how to use Pinterest. I had an amazing time chatting with her. I love that she's always up for a challenge and she knows her limits and how to prioritize her needs. She was truly amazing to chat with, and I know you'll love this episode. Hi, Basia. Welcome to Peak Pyrography.
Hello. Thank you for having me here.
I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I am good. It's a nice snowy day here, so it's perfect for cozying up and getting creative.
Yes. Do you get to do, is that what you get to do when you're after this call?
Well, I do have regular work hours for the day job, but sometimes that requires creativity. But in the nighttime and whatnot, it's if it's too cold to go out, we just sit at home and craft, which is my favorite thing to do.
When you say we, is that you and your kids, or?
Yes, my daughter and I are crafters through and through.
That's so much fun. Does she woodburn too, or is that?
She has. She's 6 years old, and I let her with, having my hand on her hand, try out the wood burning. But generally she likes to draw before I burn, and then I burn her images and she colors them in after. So she's very happy with that.
Oh, that's so much fun. It's so fun to share that. When I'm wood burning, sometimes my son will come down and he'll be like, I'm wood burning, and he'll pull out his colored pencils and draw.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah. It's fun to pass that along and watch our kids find their artistry.
Yeah. It was something so unique and different.
Yeah. Yep. So what got you started in wood burning?
It's a weird story. It was very by chance.
I love that kind of story.
Right? It was kind of like a meant to be kind of situation. I moved out to Calgary 15-ish years ago, and we met a group of friends who were into music festivals and partying, and they really wanted to create a atmosphere, a bus specifically, to take people from the city into the mountains for the music festivals and whatnot. My husband is a contractor, a mill worker of sorts. He likes to work with wood. He builds kitchens, and so they've asked him to help them gut the bus and encompass it with wood. And
that's pretty.
It was stunning. They took cedar planks and just ran them across just the whole entire ceiling. It was still the bus shape. They took out all the seats and made bench seating, because the intention is to have a lot of people on the bus to go to the festivals and for parties and for, go to cities throughout the city and go from place to place. But they really were forest dwellers. They love nature and they wanted everything natural and woodsy. So they put logs on the benches open, people threw their stuff in there. They had a little DJ booth on the front. It was very fun. And part of their whole thing was supporting artists and musicians. And I drew a lot at that. I've always drawn my whole life. But they asked me to draw something on their bus, but in order to make it more permanent, they wanted it to, people are dancing and moving. They can't have something that's sticking out. So they really needed something very permanent. and one of their family members, I believe, had a passed down soldering iron of sorts. You know, that's for a lot of people, that's where it started. And I've never even seen this contraption. And they're like, well, it's a pyrography machine. Would you be able to draw one of your things on it and burn it? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm a say yes and deal with it later kind of person. So I said yes, and I touched it to the wood, a scrap wood, and said, okay, this is cool. And then I went for it. It turned out fantastic. And I got addicted right away. It was so satisfying and new, and yeah, I have not turned back since. So.
Oh, that's so fun. So you started with the bus and then started making your own art straight from there?
Yeah, actually they were starting this business out called Base Bus. And they didn't have any money to pay me. So they're like, if we pay you with this machine, would that be okay? And I said, sure. I don't know what this even is, but I'll do it for free because I like to make art. And I did everything, and they gave me the machine as a payment, and I'm literally still using the same machine today. And
oh my gosh,
that was over 10 years ago. So.
And what machine was that?
It's a razor tip, SSD10 specifically,
nice.
But any of the razor tips are pretty good and hardy. And I traveled a lot with that thing, and burned a lot with it, and it's still like perfect.
Wow, that's so cool. I can't believe you're still using the same one 10 years later. Have you gotten like a couple new pens or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The pens that they got were kind of like a introductory pen where it's the interchangeable nib, the interchangeable wire nib, and that is one that like you could unscrew it and take it out and put another one in, which is great if you're learning and if you want to understand what you like the best. And through that, I found my favorite tip. And since discovering what my favorite one was, I got the solid wire nib tip, the pens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you're burning your own stuff. And when did Fine Line Pyro, that's your business name, when did that one come about?
Yeah, so I have been burning since then, on and off at the beginning. I just squirreled away my pieces in the crawl space. I kind of still do. And Fine Line Pyro came out when I looked in the crawl space in my basement, and I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. I should probably do something with this, but I don't know what. So I simply just started putting it on social media. I just started an Instagram account with no intentions at all, just to maybe just have kind of a profile, or just to somewhere
to show off your art. Yeah.
Yeah, just to see kind of it all together, besides just in the dark, like a book stack that you can't see the covers of. And it just grew and grew and grew. And I sold a few pieces here and there. That started, you asked when it started, that started in about like maybe 5 years ago, I think now. Yeah. So not too long ago, but yeah.
And I'm assuming the name Fine Line Pyro came because you like to make really fine lines.
Yeah, I love in general everything is, I love a lot of tiny details and really fine lines, and all the little very sharp edges are my favorite, and that's definitely where the name came about.
Cool. And that's so evident in your work and in the stuff that I've seen. It's all such incredible detail.
Thank you.
And even on like the smaller pieces, you still get those fine lines and that great detail.
Like the smaller it is, the more challenging it is. I love a challenge.
Yeah. And when you're doing that, do you burn with like a really high heat and go fast, or do you burn with a lower heat and go slow to really get the nice crisp lines?
The smaller it is, definitely needs to be lower heat and slower. But I like to go higher heat and faster. And then I always give my pieces a sand after, because higher heat means it's going to give that little glow.
Do some overburn.
And a big reason that I like doing the hard lines, the hard, like heavy heat lines, is because the nib I use is a chisel tip. I also call it the sexy tip. I said that once, and now Rachel will not let her go. She's like, that's perfect. That is like almost like a carving tool for me. And instead of burning the surface, I carve into the wood. And I feel like the deeper and harder I cut, the longer the piece will last. So a lot of people have issues with fading over time, and I don't have that, because I'm not burning like this, I'm burning like this. So for people listening, I'm burning, like cutting into the wood versus burning the surface of the wood, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're going a little bit deeper, so it'll definitely last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And even if the burn itself fades, the lines are still there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of, so your favorite style of things to burn is you do a lot of radial symmetry and fine lines, and you just published a book on that.
Yeah. Very exciting.
So the Woodburn Community Book of Templates Radial Symmetry Edition.
Yes.
And what was that whole process like of writing that book?
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, that's for sure. It is absolutely insane to kind of think about your process in a way. Something also that I've been doing for years and years, and this is before pyrography. I've been into patterns and symmetry and radial symmetry itself. So trying to dissect that and put it into a way that teaches people how to do it, it was hard. It was, I don't think about how to do it anymore. So I had to really go back and step back and slow down and cut it up into tiny pieces. I had Rachel's lovely big family go through it over and over and over again, which definitely helps. They did it
and
first.
That's Rachel from Woodburn Corner.
Rachel from Woodburn Corner, yes, Rachel Strauss.
Yep.
And her whole family has a creative bug to them, and so they did the first round of edits, and they helped it make more sense. And then my family went through it. People had to actually do it to know that it was made sense outside of my head.
So you were kind of taking it apart step by step, and you're like, okay, well, and you're done, and they're like, but how do I get from here to here? And you're like, well, obviously, slow it down. Okay, break it down a little more. Yeah. Well, and I think I bought the book, but I have the digital copy because I like to print the templates so that they fit on the wood that I'm going to use them on. But the couple of pages in there, if anybody hasn't bought it, you can go find it on Amazon or on it's on woodburncorner.com, right?
Yep.
You can go find it there, and it's just the explanation's really good, and you've got different like little colors in there on how to do it and where to draw things, and
that's all done by hand. If you believe it or not,
cool.
The hardest part of the whole thing, like, yes, it took time to dissect it, but it's already something I knew. The hardest part was the photography, because I had to take a picture of each step as I was doing it. I didn't draw each and every single one out. I did one, take a picture, do the step, take a picture, do the next step, so there was, and
then try not to forget to take the picture the next time.
Yep. Or I have to redraw from the beginning. And then, clouds come in. So it's a little bit darker. And it was it was tough. I think if I were to do it again, I probably would draw them all out separate, because then it'll allow me to take a picture in the moment, or just hire somebody to do it, because people know how to do that better than I do.
Setting up a light like my producer husband does for me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. And so then, so you broke down all the steps and you figured that out, took all the pictures, did the photography, and then you collected a whole bunch of your templates and templates from the community. And what was that process like, selecting them and deciding what was going in the book?
It was easier than I expected, only because the majority of people, we want everybody to be in that book. We wanted it to really be a community book. The people that were not chosen, very, very, very few, were because the quality just was not, like, we couldn't transfer they didn't draw it on a paper. They would just have done it on the wood directly. And to put that into an image that's black and white with line work, and those people also like added color, and like the wood is variation. So that part was a little bit tricky, but many of the artists have drawn it first on paper, and that was definitely easy to make into something that is high enough quality for the book. Because we're aiming for a high quality book. We wanted something that was really good and nice and crisp and clear.
And I think you achieved that with what you put out. How did you did you design some radial symmetry just specifically for the book, or were these all designs that you had previously? Because there's 34 of yours in the book?
Something like that. No, it wasn't. It was like 16 of mine.
Oh, okay, I must have it. And then like 34 other Pyro. Something like that.
Like that. Maybe also a little less, but I think altogether there was 34.
Okay. That number was stuck in my head for some reason.
There's a meaning to that number. It was, for my specific designs, I just took stuff that I had already laying around from years and years that I didn't really share or do anything. And eventually I did run out. I wanted to make it substantial. I wanted to put more. So I actually went back into my sketchbook from, before pyrography times, and then I redrew it on my Procreate, in my Procreate app. So it's a kind of
radial symmetry has been with you your whole life, basically,
since I can remember.
Cool.
I remember even just drawing on chalk on the sidewalk and just making a pattern and just repeating it until I didn't have space on the sidewalk. I since I can remember, I've been doing that.
Wow, that's cool. So then you picked them out, you put them in the book, and you just published the book. And I'm making that sound like it was real easy to do, but I'm sure there was a lot more to it.
Yeah. The wording, I'm not the greatest at writing. I don't love it, and it's a little bit hard for me to express myself sometimes, but Rachel definitely helped out with that, and her mother-in-law is an editor, so she helped out with that. So I had a lot of support.
Oh, that's awesome. Like the community and how your little communities are the people that you can go to and lean on, and not everyone has an editor for a mother-in-law that's like, but you've got something else. Like, it's cool to find ways to find that support within your own community.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So now the book is out, what stuff are you working on?
Still a lot, but I do plan on making more books.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm very creating that book, and I guess the push through of that kind of milestone opened a huge door to the possibility of more. And I want to use kind of the same base how to draw it, and I want to create a series of themed books. So my next one is an Art Deco theme. I'm really into Art Deco recently, for a while now, for the past couple of years, but I'm like really, really itching to. I've started already drawing some on my iPad. I've already done one half on wood. I'm not finished it yet.
And was there one in the radial symmetry book?
There was one, yes, and a 1.5, because one was a little bit Art Deco, but it was more just like triangular. But I'm leaning hard into the Art Deco, and I want to make just one Art Deco theme, and then eventually move to like one folk art theme, and one, I don't know, flower theme, and one. Just the list can go on and on and on, which is kind of scary but very exciting at the same time.
And to make them like the community book, there's so many pyros out there making so many different designs, and to include those, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So if anyone's got ideas, reach out to Basia.
Please let me know. I'll take them and I'll make them.
Yeah, and that you can make them. That's like we all have all these ideas, but you're actually doing it. You're putting it together and getting it published and out into the world, and that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a long dream. I've definitely wanted to do something. I mean, originally, before kind of working with Rachel Strauss of Woodburn Corner, before kind of joining forces there, I have always dreamt of having a book. I always envisioned it like as a coloring book, because I didn't really know that templates existed. That didn't click for me. But a coloring book was just kind of like, there's so many coloring books out there. Are you sure? And like, so I was.
How do I make mine different and make it stand out?
And like, maybe, I was thinking maybe to have some kind of guide to draw radial symmetry, and I'm also envisioning like a little radial symmetry guide and sketchbook, and I wanted to make it blank pages with the grid that I teach people how to make, that is already pre-made, but very, very, very lightly, so you can barely see it. So people don't have to like draw the grid and prepare their work. They just go into drawing the pattern. And it's like a little sketchbook of sorts.
And then when you scan it, that grid just wouldn't come through on the scan.
Exactly. Or if you're drawing with a pen, then that will overtake it and you won't really notice.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just kind of swirling around my head for the past 5 years. But that's kind of the idea. And I want it perforated so you can rip it out. And I want it to be sustainable. So I want it to be made out of like hemp. It might be too much for one book idea, but I'm really into sustainability and having things, whatever we make, go back into the earth. So I want it to be like out of hemp, so you can just like, it will last forever. But you can decompose it if you want to. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens out of that dream.
I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
So all right. So you've got Fine Line Pyro, and then you're part of Woodburn Corner.
Yes. Yeah. Rachel, go ahead.
Go ahead with that.
Rachel and I joined forces at the start of the pandemic. I was a director of a daycare for many years, and it was enjoyable. I actually graduated with an early childhood education degree. And I did enjoy working in a daycare and managing it and running the office, but it wasn't something that that I had a passion for, I would say. Especially when my daughter was born, I felt very blessed to be able to have her in the same place that I'm working. And
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it was a very nice transition for her out of the home. But when she got a little bit older, before she went into school, I felt like I was, coming home when just before she was going to bed, and I was leaving before she was waking up. And I just missed that. And as a director, you just have long hours, and you gotta be on call for all sorts of reasons. So I didn't love it, but I did enjoy working with people and with in an atmosphere with a lot of children. That kind of energy just is amazing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
that constant play and
and
creative energy.
Yes,
everywhere.
And that innocence, that just like wanting to do things and experience it rather than for a purpose, right? Like it's wonderful, but the hours were, and the responsibility was heavy. It was very stressful. But I plugged away, and then COVID hit. The daycare that I was working at shut down, so we all lost our jobs, and we were kind of just back here and not knowing what to do. And Rachel reached out to me Rachel reached out to the community and said, does anybody want to help me record a live? She was doing live sessions with people, I believe for her coaching. And she just needed somebody to screen record what she was doing, because she can't screen record at the same time as she's doing the live. And
it's a lot to do.
It's a lot to do. And I think the functionality, something with Instagram was not liking it. Or she wouldn't be able to save the Instagram if she was screen recording it, something along those lines. And I said, hey, I'm listening to these things anyway, so I'll screen record it. And we just happened to originally I met her at the Burn Club retreat. So that was the year before the pandemic hit. I got an opportunity to go to the Burn Club retreat in California, and we met there, and I took her courses and classes and experienced that whole thing, which was wonderful. And then, so that's how I kind of wasn't afraid to say, hey, I'll do this for you.
Yeah, because it can be really intimidating to reach out and be like, hi. Yeah.
I was a fangirl, right? Like, but reaching out to your inspired person is scary. But yeah, knowing her was definitely helped. So I just said, hey, I'll help you. And it snowballed from there. She's like, cool, this is like, thank you for this. Can you do this? And I'm like, sure. Like, I had literally, not that I had nothing else to do. I had a child who was running around in circles without any socializing and without being able to go anywhere or do anything. So as for many people with children, it was that early pandemic was so hard. It was so stressful. I still have anxiety thinking about it, and I still feel like the after effects of, just your patience running low and having to deal with 5 million things at once.
Having no outlet and no way to like escape. Yeah.
Not being able to see anyone and not being able to have that one-on-one support, dealing with technology. Like it's a lot, but I tried to continue to wood burn. I tried to continue doing the things that make me happy. Helping her was making me happy because I was helping somebody, and it was the things I love to do. And it just snowballed from there. And now we're business partners, and we're putting things on like the Pyrography Summit and the Woodburn Sessions, and hopefully another retreat will be coming. And
fingers crossed.
Yeah. So lots of exciting things happened, from bad things and stressful times to, I'm here because of all of that.
Yeah. And I love that you were nervous, but you still did it. You've reached out and you asked the question, and because this community is so supportive, the answer was yes, of course.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. Okay. So you've got Fine Line Pyro, you've got Woodburn Corner, and you also have Just Pin It.
Yes, so that also stems from Woodburn Corner because
Okay.
one of the things Rachel wanted to do forever and ever, she went to a conference called Alt Summit, which I'm going there with her this year. I'm so excited.
Yay.
It's 18 days, which is crazy.
Wow.
Time just is flying. But she went to this conference and they said, Pinterest, 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 Pinterest. This is what you need to do for your business to get out there, to be out there, to be known. And I had a love for Pinterest as a user. Like, I enjoyed using it for everyday things and for inspiration.
To pin ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, just in general, I loved it. And I loved the platform, and I never felt like, Instagram is very personal and it's perfect. At least the old Instagram used to be very like, everything has to be perfect and everything has to be, exactly beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. Whereas Pinterest was also very beautiful, and I had a lot of good content, but it was positive. It was all very uplifting things and inspirational things. So I spent a lot of time on it, and she knew that because we'd had a discussion. She hated it. She's like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. There's too much going on. And so we laughed about it at the retreat. And then when I said, hey, I'm here to help, what do you need? She's like, do you want to do Pinterest for me? Because I know I have to do this, but I don't know how to, and you like it. So she was like, please learn it. Here are some courses I have recommended from like her friends or like people that she's known. So I just went a deep dive into studying it and learning it, and I started it for her, and now we're at like 2-point-something million monthly viewers, and it's exploding beyond whatever I could have imagined. And along that ride, I've picked up different clients, and I manage their Pinterest accounts. I do Pinterest audits, so I'll teach people how to, what not to do, and I'll also teach them what to do. And we have a toolkit out there, so I kind of put everything in words that how the best as I can, and like little videos and like little exercises to get people's Pinterest up and rolling, because it really is a fantastic, non-judgmental, positive, and inspiring place. And for artists, that's where we want to be.
And it brings people back to your own website.
Yeah, which is the most important. Like Instagram, you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and it disappears. Whereas Pinterest, if you're really interested in like, ooh, how did they do this? And you tap on it, it goes to your website or wherever you're leading it to. It can go to your social media or wherever. And you can go into that rabbit hole, but of that certain person rather than a whole theme of things, which is,
yeah.
And they don't you don't necessarily have to have millions and millions of viewers to be found. Like, you just have to know how to use the right keywords and the right images and titles and descriptions. You have to know how to use the platform, but you don't need to be famous, and you don't need to be anything specific. So it's kind of a fair game in that way. That's what I love about it.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so if people listening wanted to check that out, or wanted you to take a look at their Pinterest, they can reach out to you at justpinit.ca.
Yes. Yeah.
And request a consult.
Yep. Just put in your information, and I offer kind of a couple services. So like either a consult or like an audit of sorts. I can create just the pins, like pin packages, because I know some people like kind of get it, but they don't have time to do it. Or I can do the whole shebang and just run it for them. So yeah.
So approximately how many are you running at any given time?
Like pins?
Yeah. Or Pinterest pages.
I guess clients specifically. I mean, I've been able to run up. I've never really even like put it in numbers. The most I've ever had at one time, probably about 9.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
9
pretty
at a
good.
time of monthly, like consistently. It's once you kind of know what you're doing, it's not as time consuming as with any
Sure.
platform, right? Like you get
Yeah.
just more confident, you just know what you need to do. And batch working is huge. Like I cannot, Rachel and I talk about this all the time. Batch working, everything you do saves so much time. It's just incredible if for productivity. So because I already know what I'm doing, and because I've been able to get a handle on batch working, it does really make the workflow a lot faster. I have dropped the ball on my own Pinterest, like Pinterest for Just Pin It, and Pinterest for Fine Line, only because I wanted to pour my heart and soul into Woodburn Corner.
Sure.
And I do it I kind of do Woodburn Corner very by the book, and Fine Line and Just Pin It are more like experimental, like, hey, I wonder what this does. And that's how you learn, right? But I have the luxury of having my own accounts to play with, and I don't really care what happens to them because that's, whatever. But Woodburn Corners, I take what I learn and I implement it into there, and then I teach others what they can do.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so some of that comes back to your own art, and what gets you excited and what inspires you to do your art?
I am heavily inspired by nature. I love, just speaking of patterns and just finding the patterns in nature, and feeling the freedom of the slowdown. I'm not quite sure how to explain it, but like I go camping a lot. I go portaging. I spend a lot of time.
What's portaging?
Portaging is like camping without a car. So you put your canoe on your back and you walk into the forest, and you right? You just go into the forest without anything, which is better than camping, because when you go camping, you're still like, oh, I can charge my phone in the car, and you still have a little bit of technology and a little bit of that comfort that we are used to in our homes. Whereas portaging, you need to bring one fork, you need to bring one spoon, and that's it. A bowl, which is also your cup, which is also like, you use everything very carefully. Whatever
like
you
backpacking and
exactly. Whatever you need has to be carried. So
and then the portaging is you do it with your canoe.
Yes, yeah. So you need to put your canoe on top, and then you go into the forest. So that requires a lot more. That just requires a lot less stuff and freedom of the mind. And I think that is very inspirational to me, because it's like, when you're thinking about daily life and about this, and there's always something to do, and there's always somewhere to be and somewhere to go, and it's just this hustle of the go life, where when I'm in the forest, I just am free, and that's where I'm the most creative and get the most inspiration from.
That's so cool. When you've got your inspiration and then you bring it home and you're going to wood burn it, what kind of surfaces do you like to burn on?
My favorite wood is cherry. I love the warm color, and the texture is beautiful. I would say that would probably be my number one wood. Yeah.
Okay. And that's such a nice one. The color that comes through when you burn, it still comes through a little red or pinkish. That's really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming that between Fine Line Pyro, Just Pin It, Woodburn Corner, and a 6-year-old, that keeps you busy pretty much all the time.
That does keep me busy all the time. Yes. Yeah. And it comes and goes in waves. I sometimes I'll have those Pinterest clients that are, you know, a lot at a time, and then those will drop off sometimes and I'll get new ones, but then sometimes I'll have this big commission piece, so then Fine Line Pyro kicks into gear and I'm burning this commission piece, and then here comes the summit, so there goes all my time, right? Items focused onto that until that is kind of all ready and set up and whatnot. So everything, which is the way I love to work. One of the big things at the daycare was there was a lot of new elements to each day. There was, you know, new kids, new faces, new problems, new wins, lots of exciting things, but it still was the same clock in, clock out, and deal with this, deal with that. So what I love about what I'm doing right now is it's just so much variety. I love being able to not know really, you know, what's going to come at me and what kind of opportunities. I never knew I was going to write a book. I wanted to, but who knew that would actually happen, right? I never would have imagined being on camera in front of thousands of people at the summit. But hey, it happened. So I really love the variety and the diversity of things that I do. It definitely is like something I wake up and I'm excited to do.
That's so inspiring, Basia. You're always saying yes to things and then figuring it out, and I love that so much. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's scary sometimes, and I haven't really put myself in a place where I couldn't handle it yet. I don't want to say yet. I haven't. You know, I'm not kicking myself for saying yes. Yeah, it definitely helps to just, you know, because when you're nervous and you think about it and then the opportunity passes you by, but just if you just say yes, then like figure it out, and they feel like you grow from there.
Yeah, such bravery, and so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's take a real quick break here.
Sounds good.
And we'll be right back.
Awesome.
All right, well, welcome back. So I like to come back from the break and talk about your self-care and what you do to take care of Basia and balance that with all the other things that you're doing. What do you do to take care of yourself mentally? And
that is a fantastic question. Right after talking about how I say yes to everything. Yes, I do say yes to everything. However, I can feel my limits and I know my limits, and saying no is equally as important as saying yes, as confusing as that is.
It is, yeah.
It is, because you want to do everything, but you just can't. So the things I say yes to are usually very creative and unique. And in terms of saying no, you just kind of have to feel it. If you have any doubt or hesitation, not fear, because if you're scared to do something, that means you should be doing it like 100%. Whereas if you're hesitant about doing something because you're worried about burning out or you just don't have time, that's a different story. It's important not to get to that spot. So saying no is crucial when you know that it's a no.
To protect your boundaries and protect yourself and your family and your time.
Yeah, exactly. And carving out that time for family and friends and art. Like, yes, a lot of my work is artistic. For Pinterest, it's very digital artwork, a lot of visuals on the computer. For wood burning, both Woodburn Corner and Fine Line Pyro, it's a lot of artwork and a lot of physical art and also digital art, but creating for the sake of creating, which is where this whole Art Deco thing came into. Like, there was no intention with that. I just wanted to get it out of my head. And if it was something that I had to do like for a book, or if it was something I had to do for a project, it wouldn't be the same. So I feel like carving out that time to create just for the point of creating and being
Yeah.
free. I think that's what's kept me sane this past lots of years.
Yeah. Do you do anything outside to take care of yourself physically, or, I mean, portaging and hiking, camping, that's all very physical.
Yes, yes, that is very, very physically demanding. But I do.
I'm still like floored by carrying your canoe. That's like blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, and my parents took me portaging when I was, 4 or 5 years old. Obviously, they carried the canoe at that time, but they carried a canoe that was, that long ago. It was a heavy. Now they're making canoes out of like fiberglass
Yes.
and
They were
stuff that.
carrying one of those like big steel monstrosities.
Yeah, and or solid wooden ones, like believe it or
Oh,
not,
yeah.
and now there's just these like Kevlar and fiberglass that are so lightweight, but they're still, yeah, it's still a mission. It's still a canoe on your back. um, I try to go for walks. Definitely. I mean, since the pandemic, things kind of were weird. I used to do hot yoga and um, kind of loved hot yoga. That was like, I'm always cold, so for me to be sweating in a room was just such a pleasure. So I did that a lot, but since then it's been kind of I haven't really gotten back into it because it's just like a muscle. You need to work on it slowly until it becomes a habit. So I want to do more. I want to be more physical, but walking is amazing. I mean, just running after my 6-year-old is quite a lot.
I'm sure she keeps you moving.
Yep. And she does. She loves dancing. We love to go skiing in the winter, tobogganing, skating, all the winter sports that Canada offers. So yeah, just whatever we can do to be in the fresh air.
That's awesome. All right, well, it's time for our favorite game here on Peak Pyrography. And you'll know this because I got it from Rachel, but it is the deserted island.
Yeah.
So, Basia, if you were on a deserted island as a wood burning artist, and you're left with one kind of wood, one burner, one nib, pen, and then one other extra item for pyrography, what are you left on this deserted island with?
So I would definitely choose cherry wood. That's my jam. I love that wood. I would probably bring my 10-year-old burner, my razor tip SSD10.
That original razor tip.
The original, yeah. If I had to get a new one, actually for the island specifically, if I could choose, I'd get the single one because I have the double one. But
okay,
I feel like it's just so easy to take the pen and change it. So the smaller one would be easier to carry if I have to go places. Although I don't know where I'd plug it in, but we'll figure that out when we get there.
There's a hut with electricity. It's
Perfect.
solar powered.
Perfect. And then my nib would be my chisel tip, and my extra piece would be sandpaper because I really do value that crispness, those tight lines, and I feel like no matter how slow and low I burn, that just gives it the extra like fine detail.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I wanted to get into some community building and some shout outs. So who are 3 accounts that we should all be following? And this can be Pyros, this can be other artists, this can be people not even related to the art community, just people that you think are really beneficial for us to follow.
Okay. Well, as a creative person, as an artist, especially those who are creating art to sell or, just even thinking about starting a business or whatnot, I love Brittany Rattel. She is an attorney for creative people and
she posts some really good stuff.
Yeah, Like the way she posts it is very easy to intake, and it's just so relevant, and she's so fun, and I love her.
Lots of like, this would be really good for your business, but without making it feel like you should be doing this and without putting any kind of like shame behind it. It's just, here's some information, do with it what you will.
Yep, exactly. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy listening to her, and or following her rather. I actually don't spend a lot of time on social media because of life and its busyness, and
it's hard. It can take a lot out of you mentally, emotionally, and it can bring that like comparison bug in.
yes, it does. It can bring inspiration out or the comparison bug, and it's a toss-up, which means you should, whoever is giving you those yucky feelings, you should just unfollow. I've learned to do that recently, just to, nope, I don't want to see this anymore. Nope. And that's okay. It's a evolutionary changing thing. But yeah, I also feel like it's hard to be consistently on social media when you're running it. And for some time I was doing a little bit for Fine Line Pyro, but again, I really wanted to pour my heart and soul into Woodburn Corner and to have that grow. So I've actually found a hack now that whenever I post on Woodburn Corner, I could just add myself as a collaborator and it'll be on my feed too. I'm just like, wow, why haven't I been doing this the whole time? So that makes it a lot easier. But when you're on it for function, like to share your thing, I can only intake so much. And generally, I only follow wood burning artists because I want to see what the community is up to and whatnot. So, but Brittany Rattel is a special case. The other special case is, her name is Rachel Emma Warming. And she is on the same vibe as Brittany, the energy level and her, like, the way she explains things. It's very fun and it's very fast but informative. She is focused on Pinterest specifically and on business in general, but mostly with Pinterest. And she has that like cool retro vibe. So she's one that I let in through the cracks of the wood, pun intended. And the last one is Tom Ross, and I do enjoy him for it's Tom Ross Media, and he's been around for a really long time, and he used to be very entrepreneurial and very business oriented, but following his journey has been incredible because he's just kind of putting his life out there on Instagram, and he came from, this is what you should do in your business and how to rock the marketing and how to do social media slides, to being very heavily community oriented, which is huge. Like, he's a good reminder of reminding ourselves why we're doing this. So a lot of people are focusing on the marketing and making those Pinterest posts and making the website look good. And, all this time, especially as a single entrepreneur, like it's a lot. We tend to, not pay enough attention to the people who are actually following us. And he's just such a good reminder to go ahead and answer those DMs, make a comment that is more than just an emoticon, or, really connect with that person. Connecting with one person out of the community for an extra 5 or 10 minutes is more valuable than adding like $5,000 or $10,000 worth of marketing in your. These are not real numbers.
Yeah.
This is just kind of what his whole idea was. So don't quote me on here. But basically he was trying to say the value and the impact of of making a real connection, not just like, hey, love your art and then move on. Making real connections is so important to your business and to your brand and to your vibe. And I mean, Rachel has been preaching that forever, and just the fact that she's built such a huge community and keeps it so strong, and like all I hear is this community is amazing and I feel so supported and stuff, and that's a big reason why, is because we care, and like she cares, and she's, you know, taking that time to interact and to learn people and get to know people. And so yeah, I value his words and what he's saying. He's a pretty awesome.
Great. Those sound like fantastic ones, and a couple of them are new, and I will definitely go check them out, and
awesome.
Hopefully listeners will too.
Yeah.
Okay, so one other thing, what is one tip or trick that you do that you think others will find really some great value in?
And tip or trick in life, business, wood burning?
Any of the above?
Okay,
that leaves it real open-ended for you.
Okay, well, how about all of the above? So this is one thing I've learned across life and running a business and creating artwork over such a long period of time is consistency. It's the word consistency is my favorite. I preach it all the time when I'm teaching about Pinterest, because when you pin once a week, you're consistently pinning once a week, you will grow. If you are like Instagram, like if you're suddenly off the radar and then pin like 5 a day and then off the radar, everybody knows that's not going to work. You need consistency. If you, we talked about this in Burn Club chat the other day. If you're trying, we were talking about organization and how, you know, somebody buys an agenda and then they are like 1 week, 2 weeks into it, and they'll switch back to something else, or they'll try sticky note and suddenly it doesn't work anymore, and they have to go and they try digital calendar on their computer, and then suddenly they're lost again. And they're like, this agenda doesn't work and this doesn't work and nothing works. And it's like, it's not consistent enough. If you just persevere and stick with that agenda, you'll make it work because you're using it consistently and you're learning as it goes. In terms of artwork, I have come to where I am right now only because I've been doing it over and over and over and over and over again, consistently throughout life. I've, you know, taken that one thing that I love, which is the little lines, and I do it in this pattern, and then I try it in this pattern, and then I try it in this pattern and in this pattern, and it's only because I did it over and over and over that I am where I am now, you know, consistently doing the same thing and over again. Kind of goes with everything. Going back into hot yoga, if you do it consistently every, you know, 2 times a week, you're going to start getting back into it and building a habit out of it. And so that's my answer. Consistency.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great answer. And it's so applicable to everything, whether it's art, whether it's business, whether it's social media, whether it's self-care. Take care, do it consistently, and you'll see results.
Yeah.
Well, great. Basia, thanks so much for coming on. And I can't wait to see the new other books that come out. I can't wait to see some of the other stuff that you've got going on. I know that you're working on more Woodburn Corner stuff, which is always exciting when that comes out. And is there anything specific that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure people know about?
My books, retreats, Burn Club Plus. Burn Club Plus is really like such a fun place. And it's where that community really gets to support each other and
that's a twice monthly Zoom chat. It's through Patreon. It's $10 a month, but anybody's welcome to come there
Yes.
to join and to come and be part of those conversations and
Yep.
make some of those connections.
Yes. Yeah. And there's no commitment. You can come in for a month, and then, if it's not for you, then that is totally fine. But it is definitely a place that I enjoy. Like I don't talk a lot. I am very shy. But there's a little chat going on, and there's just like, once you get to know the people, then it just is, it's like another little art family. I love it.
And there's connections that happen behind the scenes at the same time. You're sitting in Burn Club, and then people are DMing each other on Instagram or something. There's lots of good connections happening there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Basia. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll talk and connect some more soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, how amazing was that? I'm floored by Basia and all the things she does, and the way she's always ready for an adventure and a challenge. She knows herself and when to say no, and I learned so much from Basia. I can't wait to keep learning from her as we follow her on social media. Hope you enjoyed it too. Peak Pyrography is produced by Fedde Studios and Justine Fedde. Our producer and sound engineer is Kevin Fedde. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. You can share your comments on today's podcast or suggestions for the future with me on Instagram at peak_pyro or via email at peakpyrography@gmail.com. That's peakpyrography@gmail.com. Till next time, keep creating. I can't wait to see what you make next.
Welcome to Peak Pyrography, where we discuss artistry and process with creators in the wood burning and pyrography community. I'm your host mother, Sue Barnes. Justine Fedde was introduced to wood burning in 2020, and she hasn't put her wood burner down since. Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest, Basia, with a very long last name. Basia is involved in just about everything. You can find her and her art at Fine Line Pyro. She pours her energy into so much of the behind the scenes for Woodburn's Corner, and if that wasn't enough, she's a social media star and can really get into the use of Pinterest. Justine had an amazing time chatting with her. She loves that she's always up for a challenge, and she knows her limits and how to prioritize her needs, something we all need more of. She was truly incredible to chat with, and I know, and Justine knows, you'll love this episode. Well, how amazing was that? Justine and I were both floored by Basia, all the things she does, and the way she's always ready for an adventure and a challenge. She knows herself and when to say no. We both learned so much from Basia and can't wait to keep learning from her. Peak Pyrography is produced by Fedde Studios and Justine Fedde. Our producer and sound engineer is Kevin Fedde, my son-in-law. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, but be nice and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. You can share your nice comments on today's podcast or suggestions for the future on Instagram at peak_pyro or via email at peakpyrography@gmail.com. That's peakpyrography@gmail.com. Until next time, keep creating. We can't wait to see what you make next. Bye. And I'm out.